So today what I'd like to do is do a build overview video of the Colnago. This is a early 90s steel Colnago road bike. And I recently acquired this frame and built it up into this bike. So I wanted to go over some of the components I used and why I picked those components, and then what I like about this bike in general. So to start off with, this is a steel frame made by Colnago. It's got Columbus SL tubing, which I believe is 858 butting profile, which is 0.8, 0.5, 0.8. And these are standard diameter tubes. So this is a 1-inch top tube and a 1 1/8-inch down tube. So that is 25.4 for the top tube, 28.6 on the down tube. It also has a 28.6 seat tube, which allows you to use a 27.2 seat post, which is very, very common. The fork and steer tube, the fork is a 1-inch threadless, and this fork was custom made by John Fitzgerald in Santa Rosa, California. And there's a long story about that, which I talked about in a previous video, and I'll put a link to that at the end of this video. So this fork has a Chinelli fork crown, and it has new old stock Campagnolo dropouts with the Chinelli fork crown and a 1-inch threadless steer tube. And I have a 1-inch threadless headset here that is by Chris King that came with the frame. So I stuck with that. So that's why I have a threadless stem. This stem has a -17-degree rise to it, so it's pretty level and it looks good with this horizontal top tube. A lot of people have commented on the size of the head tube and that it looks really tall. And that's because this is a 60-centimeter frame, so it's 60 centimeters center to center, and it's 57.5 center to center on the top tube. A few of you have asked about the standover, and for me, there is a little bit of standover, not a lot, but because it's a road bike, it seems to work okay. I would say the frame might be a little bit big for me, but I'm able to ride it, and I like the position, and I like how I'm able to do the level stem. I think it looks cool. The handlebars are by Nitto, and I picked these up at the Community Bikes in Santa Rosa. I went over there and I was searching their bins for stems and handlebars, and I found this really nice set of Nitto bars. These are narrow bars, but they have a nice shape, and they actually work really well with these brake lever shifters. Some campy wheels. This is a carbon fiber lug.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, aluminum lugs.
Whoa.
Look, there's a classic 70s dirt bike. Look at the bars on it. It's got the cape hanger bars. That's like the original dirt bike right here. That's super cool. You know the beginning of On Any Sunday? The movie On Any Sunday?
Uh-huh.
This is the bikes they're riding.
Oh, wow.
In the intro where they're going off the dirt jumps. So here's a 1-inch threadless steel mountain bike stem. It would be nice if it were this way with this. I like the style. One bolt here, one bolt here. It's a little too long. We found this ITM big one. This is a 1-inch threadless 25.4 or 26 clamp, but it does look big, you know, when you compare it to that. So we'll keep looking. Wow, look at that. That looks scary. Carbon fiber. Aluminum. I mean, it's probably just carbon fiber wrapped. Oh no, actually it's some kind of jointed together. Okay, so it looks like we found some good parts at the Community Bikes in Santa Rosa. They actually had the star nut, which I'm surprised. I thought I was gonna have to order that. But they had some star nuts for the steer. I got a shim for my other stem. I got an ITM stem. I don't think I'm gonna use it, but I kind of want to just see what it looks like. The old school ITM. And then I got these Nitto drop bars. These ones are still aggressive, but not as aggressive as the bars I had picked. The ones I had picked were like true classic shaped bars, and they aren't meant to be used with brake lever shifters. These ones do look like they're designed for brake lever shifters, so I think they'll work out a little bit better. I bought a set of Chinelli bars, but when I set them up with these brake lever shifters, they were just too aggressive, and the transition from the ramps to the hoods was just too extreme. So I went over there, and those really nice people let me dig through their stuff, and I pulled this out, and I have to say they seem to be perfect for this bike. So Nitto bars, Nitto seat post. For the drivetrain, I have a 10-speed group set here, and it's a mix of Campy parts. So it's all 10-speed, but the crank is a triple, and it's a record 10-speed. I've got some really nice chain rings on here. This is a 53 tooth for the big chain ring with a 40 tooth inner or middle ring, and then a 30 for the small ring. And on the back, I have a 13 to 30 cassette, and that's actually a new cassette that they just started making for the lower tier Campy group sets. But it is 10-speed, and it works perfect with this setup. For climbing, for rollers, and for flat roads, this bike covers it all. I mean, on the 5313, it's a really nice smooth chain line, and it's also very smooth the way the chain articulates around that 13 tooth cog. A lot of bikes these days are going with really small 10 tooth, 11 tooth, even 9 tooth small cogs, and the chain makes feels a lot more rough as it rolls over those smaller cogs. And so that's what I really like about this setup, is that you have the really big chain ring on the front, so you can run a slightly bigger tooth cog on the back and get a really nice smooth pedaling. And it's very fast. It feels really nice on the road. For the derailleur, I have a long cage Veloce, which is for the triple. And then on the front derailleur, I have the the racing triple. I think it works great. I picked it because the way this derailleur hanger is brazed on there, it barely fit with this big 53 tooth chain ring. So I got it to work with that one. So that it works great, it shifts perfect. For the shifters, I have a Campy Record 10-speed with the carbon fiber brake levers. I originally wanted the silver set, but I couldn't find any that were good enough. So these are like relatively new old stock, and they're just perfect, and they shift excellent. They're just so smooth and fast. It's an incredible group set. Wheels and tires. The wheels I got with the frame, they were just thrown in. They do have Campy hubs. I don't know what the era is. I think they're 9-speed. I rebuilt the rear the other day, repacked the bearings and grease, and it's working great. The rims are a Mavic rim, pretty narrow. I think they're like 20 millimeters. They're old school. And then I have these Continental GP 4000 tires that I've had for quite a while on some other bikes, and I used them on here. And on the back it's a 28, and on the front it's a 25. And I think when I buy the next set of tires for this, I think I'm gonna try a 30 on the back and a 28 on the front. There's plenty of room on the front for a bigger tire, and there's more room on the back. So I kind of want to see where I can push it. And as far as brake clearance, you're probably saying, well, wait a minute, what about the brakes? They're not going to fit those tires. But actually, these are Dura Ace 7700 series brakes, the only Shimano part on the bike. And yes, we're out on a road here, so there's cars going by. But yeah, I put a set of Dura Ace 7700 series brakes on here, and they actually have quite a bit of clearance. And some people I hear on the internet a lot that, you know, you can't have big tires or with rim brakes. And the truth of it is you can have any size tire you want with any rim, with a rim brake if it's designed for it. So these rim brakes were a little bit older style, so they did have more clearance than some of the newer ones. So you can squeeze a bigger tire in here. If you wanted to go with, say, a 36 or a 40 millimeter tire, you could step up to like a mid-reach brake and just have the frame designed around that, and it can be done. And you can go up to cantilever brakes and fit any size, pretty much any size tire you want. The other thing I'll say about the frame is that it has this internal routed brake cable. That was another reason why it was really easy to build this bike, is you just push the cable housing through the top tube all the way back to the brake and then cut it the length you want and you're done. So it's super simple to build up a bike like this. There is down tube shifter bosses here for if you want to go super retro, but I like the idea of kind of retro modern for this one. I have a down tube shifter bike, and while I love it for road riding, I do like being able to shift from the brake levers, just to keep that cadence exactly where you want without having to keep constantly reaching down. What else? What did I miss, Miss Schools? Anything? I didn't talk about the quick releases, but that's not something people care too much about. What does it weigh? You know, that's probably a question somebody will ask. More than a carbon fiber bike, and a little more than my titanium bike, but less than my rando bike. So somewhere in there. I don't know. It's probably 21 pounds, you know, without the water bottle, water in it and the pump. Oh yeah, the crank is a 170. I forgot to mention that. The crank is a 170, and the one thing I don't like about it is the Q factor. The triple has a little bit wider Q factor, which I'm not a huge fan of, but I love the shifting and the gear combinations that I can make, and the chain line. So it's a trade-off. Would I ride this on a long bike tour? Probably not, just because I don't want that Q factor. But for what we're doing, you know, 30, 40, 50 mile rides, 60 mile rides, stuff like that, it's fine and it's fun to do. So
Trying to think of something you may have forgotten, but I think you covered it all.
all right, thanks for subscribing, everyone. We'll see you in the next video. Should I do a flyby? Yeah, let's do it.
I think I might have to zoom out a little.
Okay. Oh,
Uh-oh.
just broke my cleat.
Wow, now that was smooth.
So yeah, so if you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. And if you're still interested in learning more about this bike, you can check out the video that I did on where I got the frame from, and I'll put a card up here for that, or maybe I'll put it up here. And then you can also check out the video that I did where I did the first kind of ride and talked about where the bike came from, and I'll put that one over here. And if you want to see more about the, I guess my down tube shifter bike, maybe I'll put a card over here. And then if you want to see, we can only do 3 videos, Miss Schools. Okay, 3 is enough.